Hi everybody, welcome to the YP podcast today. As said before, my name is John Cottrell Bolsover. I work for YP Women and my role is Player Care and Development Manager, and now find myself live on a podcast. I've also got here today with me Tom.
Yep, Tom Berry, I work for YP full time and I'm the YP Women's Manager.
And of course the legendary Joe Dixon.
My name is Joe Dixon. I am the Director and Founder of YP Academy, Chairman of YP Women's.
So as you can hear, we're all a little bit nervous today because this is our first YP podcast. This has been planned for a very long time. There's been a lot of talking, a lot of chat, a lot of voice messages exchanged so far. And now we're here at the fantastic Olympic Legacy Park, I will say. What a fantastic venue this is today. Loving it. So, and the reason that we're doing the podcast here today is because we've got a big game coming up this weekend in the County Cup, which now puts a lot of pressure on me because I've mentioned that really early on, which means I've got to get this edited and out before that game. So, so it may be that this podcast goes out after that moment. So yeah, Joe, we're going to have a very, very busy weekend, I think, trying to get this podcast out, which it would be great to launch just before the County Cup, not to put any pressure on. So fantastic. So we've got loads to get through today. How long this podcast is going to last, we don't know. So it may be an hour-long episode, it may be a 30-minute long episode, it may be somewhere in between. Or if we run out of things to say, it might be about 10 minutes long. But we're not too sure yet. So first of all, let's get straight into it today. So. Of course, this is not just about YP Women, which we will talk about a little bit later, which Tom's going to lead on that one. But Joe, let's talk about the Academy, because the Academy's been going for a few years now. What is the latest news? What's going on with the Academy? It's expanding quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. Yeah, it's expanding all the time. I think words getting about, the reputation, we know we've got a high reputation, and I think with Tom working with me, we're just constantly trying to find ways to make it better all the time, we've been running a program for about 4 years now. It's really successful, the Player Development Program, PDP, but this is coming to the end of 5 years of that, and we are looking at restructuring it. We want to change it up, we want to add something new, you don't want to do something repetitive, but it's funny because we speak to parents who attend the Academy and you don't realise actually how far some of these, parents and kids travel. We've got players coming from Doncaster, Barnsley, Rotherham, it operates in S11, Norton, Johnfield kind of way. So, they are travelling over an hour to get here. So I think that just speaks volume, they're prepared to get there for that training.
And so it's produced success as well, hasn't it? So if you follow YP on Facebook, social media, Instagram, all the other things that you advertise on and talk about YP on, all I see is somebody's got into an academy, someone's took it a bit further. What are your successes at the minute?
I think probably the biggest one this year so far was Kieran signing for Notts Forest. Under 14s, under 15s, he'd been with us since the very start. He played in my first ever under 12s, under 10s game that we ever had, back in 2019, 2020. He's had a difficult journey, but he's finally managed to get he had plenty of offers on the table, and he's managed to secure that. That was a fantastic success story. Girls, we've had over about 40 signed for established girls academies. And last year we got about 22 signed across the region, so a hugely successful period for us. And I think, but yes, we do post a lot about the academy signings, but I think for us it's about players achieving success at grassroots level, becoming better human beings. Maybe moving from a E division team to an A division team. One of the ones was, I'm sure Tom will touch on him because he works really closely with him, was Ruben. Ruben is someone that came to us playing for a lower age team and finally got a grassroots move to Handsworth, which are really well established boys section in grassroots. So that's just another side of the success that we look to achieve for these players.
Fantastic. I mean, Tom, you're obviously a coach in the academy as well. So the most important question: is Joe a good boss?
Oh, the best. He's the best boss. It's the best boss. He's looking at me now. That's why. So,
Does it pay you well?
Yeah,
He's got his
I'm not complaining.
Above market average.
You got your annual review coming up soon, so he's trying to make sure he gets.
We'll see. But no, I think he's absolutely right. I think there's more, and Joe will probably agree with me on this, that we've had a lot of success in kids who have dropped out of football because of not enjoying it with certain teams and come to us and then come back into it, whether they've just gone to a grassroots and a low level club, but they've still come back into it. So that's for me, that's bigger than any academy achievement or anything, because we're getting kids back into sport, which is a big thing. He's done well this year, really, really well.
And this is something that gets talked about a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kids getting dropped from academies, someone might be in academy for 8 years and some of them dropped at the drop of a hat and things like that. How important is it to kind of be, you're not rescuing it, but what have you got to do to help a player in that situation? That can be devastating, can't it?
Yeah, I think it's just, you just go back to basics, and not even in the sense of, obviously we're a technical company and we teach certain technical skills and little things like that, but it's breaking it down as in who's the person we've got with us and what's the issue at hand, and then from that, especially in one-to-ones, which is really good for them, is you sort of make a friend for the next 6 weeks, and that's what brings them back into it.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. Like, Joe's a likeable person, and not to toot my own horn, John, but I think that I am, along with the other 6 coaches that do one-to-ones, which is the massive thing, all the confidence stuff.
And I think it's an important point that as well, because obviously I came in as an outsider. I do some work with the academy, but I'm not a coach in there. And I think one thing that strikes me is how friendly and how wonderful the coaches are. There's no bad egg, if that makes sense. Do you kind of consciously recruit like that?
Yeah, the business model's built on the coaches. You know, without the right personnel and the right personality of these coaches, you know, we won't be as successful as we are today. And I think Tom will probably agree with me, this is probably the strongest coaching team that we've had since the start. You know, we've had great coaches before who have moved on, you know, they've achieved great things, you know, away from YP. But at the moment, you know, everyone's in it together, you know, everyone talks to each other, everyone knows what's going on, you know, in their personal lives as well. You know, we all take an interest in how we're doing maybe in our playing careers as well, you know, and that really brings a good positive vibe. And I think all the coaches have got different sense of personality, you know, some are really energetic, some are really drilled focused, you know, in terms of their discipline and stuff like that, and then you've got maybe some who are a bit more laid back but have maybe that flair as a coach, and it touches different kinds of you know, different kids, so you're touching different kids with maybe different personalities, and I think that's why it works so well.
I think I were at a session on Monday. As you well know, I actually brought a young player through who took part in a session. I think that session then went out, or a talk in that session went out, didn't it, on social media. I think it was Fergie who he gave one of those Winston Churchill moments of this inspirational speech, and I think that probably kind of said everything for me, because he was kind of there giving this little team talk, and he said, I want you to run, I want you to try hard, all talking about football, that's what you expect. And he said, but actually, when you're at home and your mum wants you to do something, try your hardest to do it. When you're out in life and you're at school, try your hardest to do something. And I thought, I love that, mate. That was fantastic, because this is building people, building characters, giving people life skills and things like that. So Tom, what's been your most inspirational speech?
I think, do you know what, and maybe you could say in the academy sense, so the under 16s, I always say, the girls, I always say to them, sort of, ask yourself, if you put yourself back with that 8-year-old girl or that 8-year-old boy, even if it's with the lads, and you show them where you are now, would they be proud? And a lot of the answer, obviously, the kids we get right now would be yes. Or if it's no, it gives them sort of a real insight to what do I need to change, and what would I have wanted, and what did I enjoy when I first started playing, which is a big one.
I really like that
one. It's a big one.
Fantastic, yeah, wow. And I think that really does set the values that YP's built upon. You talk about it being a family, don't you?
I think one of the pressures of the coaches though is because we post a lot of them on social media. You know, that, you know, at first when we get a new recruit, they can find it a bit cheesy that they might be motivating a group and it's being filmed, you know, and it's just, you know, we just want them to be themselves. You know, we're showcasing, you know, their ability to connect with people. You know, and once they get over that hurdle of being a camera shoved in their face,
Yeah.
you know, they're absolutely fine with it. I remember when Tom was first, you know, when he first started, I'd just be like behind this group and I'd just get a camera up and Tom, he like halfway through the recording, you can just see Tom like make eye contact with the camera like for a split second.
He wasn't used to it, was he?
Yeah, but like you get used to it and it's almost, you know, and it's a really good skill to have because it's, you know, it's like public speaking, you know, you've got to be able to speak to people.
It's tough. It's do you ever find then that kind of, particularly with the new ones, that in psychology we have a concept called the actor-observer bias, which is where somebody will act different than they normally would because somebody's watching them. Do you know what I mean? Do you ever find that? Because Joe likes a camera, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? Joe likes a good camera.
Joe when he's on camera does a small like this. Smolder. He does, and he goes really like a president's speech. Like, honestly,
Get my good side.
It's stuff he means, but he's exaggerated because he knows there's people watching. And you're right.
Yeah, it's. I also find that voice notes as well.
Yeah,
you're like, "You all right, John? How's it going today, pal? Yeah, got this work to do, and I am so proud of you. We shall fight them on the beaches."
There's not the people are saying that one this weekend. That was a bit deep. That one was.
Sorry, I took that. That was good. That was good. That it inspired me.
There you go.
That was good. Fantastic. So before we move on to the next section, what's going on with the academy? What's coming up? What do you want people to know about?
The invite-only teams have got some big games coming up. Both boys and the girls. The girls don't know yet, but the girls have got some matches against Rotherham United. Again, which is a great opportunity to showcase their abilities. You know, we really do feel like some of these girls are overlooked or they don't get these opportunities, as well as the boys. The boys have got Rotherham United. They've got Sheffield United coming up, and they've got Mansfield coming up as well. So you know, that's the elite side in the academy. Within the actual PDP program, you know, we're going through our modules. You know, we finish in July, so it's starting to get a lot more game-based focus. You know, in terms of, you know, really trying to tidy things up for the players. And then what happens at the end in July comes is, you know, we have a lot of review meetings, KPIs. You know, we're trying to see what's the best move for them next. You know, we have honest conversations with parents. You know, we go, listen, you know, maybe your kids. At the end of the road within groups, but let's try and clean certain areas up by, you know, integrating into the one-to-one program. You know, sometimes it might be looking at a different group that might suit their ability level. So, you know, this time of the year is a lot about planning for the next year. You know, we're thinking about 6 months ahead.
Yeah, and Easter holidays coming up. Got anything on for the Easter holidays?
Yeah, packed one-to-ones. PD camps and player development camps, Tom's favourite, absolute highlight. He's always there. First one there, aren't you?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So PD camp on both weeks of half term. Yeah, and then we just carry on, and then we go back to it up to the final term.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joe. It's all about YP Academy, everything that's going on, and of course we got a bit deep there. Got a bit deep, didn't we? About
that.
Yeah, I love that. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So, Tom, we're going to come over to you now because for those that didn't know, you will have been living under a rock, but YP set up their first women's side this year. Didn't know what was going to happen, didn't know where it was going to go, didn't know anything about it really. No kind of, there were plans and ambitions for the future, but didn't know what group of players you were going to get. And you know, I remember I was invited on board last December, because I remember I was on holiday for Christmas and I was sending you messages from live from Tenerife about recruitment and things like that, like anybody didn't know anything. And then those first meetings were just, I loved those first few months because it was the unknown. We created 1,000 schemes that we've never used.
Yeah.
And everybody had their ideas of what they wanted it to look like. And then
it was needed though. It was needed.
Oh, it was great. I loved it. And once we got started, it formed itself, didn't it? It was fantastic. So, Tom, tell us what's going on, what's happened this season, and where we are right now.
Cool. So we're obviously, like you said, we've gone from probably a year on of having no players, no staff, no team to full team, full staff, fans and girls turn up to games, playing obviously this weekend at a very nice stadium, and in both still in both cups and fighting for the league title. So it's looking really good. The past few games and I was looking at this with Freddie, and sort of one of the successes we took from it is we've said that we're great at sort of, the girls are great at going forward and being positive, which is one of the things we've been teaching, and in the meetings we talked about from day one is how we want to play and what we want to look like. And me and Freddie went through it, and you look at like the defensive side, and which we don't focus on much, Joe will probably agree. We've conceded like 2 goals in 5 or 6 games, something like that, for 5 games. And that don't really get much notice until Freddie mentioned it to me the other day, and it's like, well,
yeah, it's true.
They were looking at successes and what we're doing right, and yes, we're doing things right off the pitch, and we're doing things right in certain areas, but the girls like that you've recruited, and Joe, and that we've all done together, have done such a fantastic job to get us where we are. And I don't think that we'd be doing this podcast and we'd be in this building if it weren't for them at 18 players.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that credit all does go to them. And yeah, we're doing really well.
You said young players. Joe, you actually worked out, didn't you? What's the average age of the squad?
18.6, I think it is.
18.6.
Yeah.
Love it.
And that is a young squad, isn't it? Because you think that's something that you can work with.
Yeah.
That's something. Yeah, there are older members of the squad, and there's nothing wrong with having older, experienced players. But you've got a lot of players there that you can work with over a long period of time.
Yeah, it's so coachable. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot going on. So this season, I've got to be careful here because, again, editing. But as it stands today, we're joint top of the league.
Yeah.
Technically second on goal difference. But the team above us, Wath, got a game in hand.
Yeah.
Very good side.
We've got.
We've got a game in hand.
Which will become 2 this Sunday.
Which will become 2 this Sunday, yeah. So yeah, fantastic season. 2 very good sides around us,
Yeah.
Chesterfield and Wath. Very similar ambitions, very similar makeups to the squad. High quality players. This is what a running this season is going to be.
Yeah, I said it to Eddie, the assistant manager, that I would have been upset if we didn't have teams like Chesterfield and Wath in this league, because if we didn't have teams testing us this year, and let's say we did get promoted and we did go up next year, and then we found a challenge, it'd be very, very difficult to get going because we're not familiar with tough games and tough matchups. I think it's a credit to both them teams that they've come in and we're all battling together, the 3 of us. And it's quite exciting actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
It makes it a bit more exciting, especially for Joe. Joe loves intensity and drama in situations, so it's good for him as well.
Yeah, and I think all 3 teams have done really well as well. You look at Chesterfield,
really
semi-final of the League Cup,
Yeah.
County Cup final against their senior side.
Yeah.
Wath currently top of the league, just by on goal difference. And you look at us, League Cup semi-final coming up, which we'll talk about. County Cup 3rd round, potential to get into a quarter final, and with a string of First Division victories as well.
Yeah.
When you look at just football women, Middlewood, we look at who else we played in that division, Millmore as well.
Football,
yeah. So all very, very positive results.
Strong sides as well. They're not like they're not doing well in their leagues, are they? You know,
no,
they're very
good side,
good teams in that division. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably shows where we fit at the moment.
Yeah, 100%.
Semi-final coming up.
Yeah.
That's excited.
Yeah, very, very. Probably Joe more than me. Joe does not stop banging on about it, but I think it's gonna, like you said, it's another test for us and for the girls, because we're playing a team that's higher than us and on paper should be better than us. So it's all good stuff for them. I think the age they are and having to get through these mental battles of, right, we're playing someone who on paper is better than us. How are we going to beat this team, and how are we going to dispatch them in the best way possible? So it's all a learning curve for them, which I'm loving at the moment, because some of them have come on, as you'll know, past 3 or 4 months with the games we've had and the teams we've played. They've come on like miles and miles, which is absolutely the main aim, obviously, for us at YP, is the development of these players that we have in. So loads of successes in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think every player that we've got has their own personality.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss that in a little game I've invented a little bit later on. But you're starting to see that personality come through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You imagine a changing room without Emily Fowler.
No.
Then it's not a changing room that exists.
You turn up on a Sunday or a Monday or a Thursday, and you could never ever guess what she's going to tell you, because it's always completely different. Like a Sunday, you could be in the worst mood possible, and she'll just ask you a genuine question that she doesn't know the answer, and honestly, it'll really brighten your day. You know best, don't you, John? Because you speak to her all the time, and she's unbelievable as a player and a person as well.
Yeah.
Like always smiling. She's never in a bad mood, which helps a lot of the other girls actually.
Crizia, another one.
Great captain.
Fantastic. She can walk into a changing room, can't she? And she can change a group. She can change the mentality. She leads when she needs to. She will put an arm around when she needs to, and also she is quite funny. She's got the driest sense of humour I think I've ever worked with.
I'm still struggling with
No, Joe's struggling.
Can't tell if she's been sarcastic or serious.
I'll tell you a funny story actually about Chris at the start of the year. When she first come in and we was looking for a captain and looking to me and Eddie and you said that we spoke to you about it, didn't we, John, about getting her in and trying to do it. And she said, when we spoke to her about it, she said, I'm not sure if I can. And she was a bit nervous to do it, and she didn't really want to do it, I don't think. Just because she's not done it in this setting before, and there were a lot of pressure. And to look where she is now, do you know, with like we said, the humour she has with the girls, and she connects with every single player. And when she walks into the room, the girls are always looking or listening. To come from where she were, that she didn't want to do it at all, to now, I think is a massive change.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that as well. Obviously, I worked with Crizia a year before you guys.
Yeah.
She was really interested in the project. We spoke in depth. Was it quite a bit of a drop for her, to be fair?
Yeah.
She was kind of trying to get into a tier 4 side at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where she felt she was. And so that drop down was a big drop for her. And I think I've seen her grow in that time. I think it's been a fantastic move. Her leadership skills and things like that have been superb. And I think it's ignited, if you like, the personalities of other people as well. Her and Delia together, absolutely, obviously played together before. I've enjoyed Delia coming in, I must say, because she was always a bit of a frustrated character. She's had some real opportunities, turned down big opportunities in the past. She could be playing women's championship right now, but she's kind of being very sensible about how she thinks like that. She's not travelled just because of the glamour of it. She's been sensible and thought, well, actually, money and the travel and the impact on life and work and things like that. And I don't think I've seen Delia as happy as she is now.
Yeah.
And she has continued the fact that Delia cannot score a tap-in. Cannot physically score a tap-in. It's impossible. If you put her in front of an open net 100 times, she wouldn't score. If you put her on the edge of the box with 1 second to shoot,
it's
top corner
every time. Crossbar and in, whatever you want, it'll happen.
Yeah.
I said that to you yesterday, didn't I? If there's one thing you can guarantee in a game of football, it's Emily Fowler hitting the crossbar as well.
Yeah.
It's probably Dia hitting top bins as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. And do you know, at some point, I mean, obviously I've been doing a bit of media and stuff like that. One of the things that I planned to do was a goal of the season competition at the end.
Like it.
But
Good luck
I'm gonna get out like the Lightning Seed song, the old match of the day, goal of the month. You're too young to remember that, Tom.
We don't know that now.
Yeah, I'll show you. We'll have a look at some YouTube clips at some point. But I think 9 out of 10 they might be Delia's goals.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to put it to a vote, to the public vote. I reckon if you get a top five nominations and put it to a little vote, that'd be a really good shout. But yeah, Delia's, she's got to be up there. If not, there's definitely some hope. And I'm sure she'll have something to say about that.
Yeah.
She always looks, when she scores a banger, she always looks at me and smiles at me as if as in, you should have known that was
But the worst celebrator in the world.
Yeah, she doesn't actually do anything.
She just walks up.
She's pleased with herself, I think.
Yeah.
She's doing it.
She
knows she's going to do it.
She made a promise with me. She said if she ever scores a last minute winner, she will practice a knee slide. I've made that deal with her. So that maybe not this weekend.
Oh,
14.
yeah, maybe not this weekend. Yeah. Well, hopefully she does that in a cup final at some point.
Yes.
That would be nice.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
nice. And of course, like the young players, I've been very impressed with players like Chloe becoming adults. You know what I mean? Some of these 16-year-olds that have come through, and you see them grow, don't you? Like into young women, from juniors into young women.
I think, especially the ones that have come from the academy. I think you know, because they already knew me and Tom, you know, and you know the other staff around. But I think it was a shock to quite a lot of the players when we first initially started in pre-season, because we brought a different tone to it. You know, we were like, "You're adults now. You know, this is serious stuff." You know, and you know, at the start, you know, there wasn't really that togetherness that we have now within the team. You know, it was a lot more, you know, structured military. I wouldn't say military, but it was like, we're doing this,
Military,
we're
that's it.
doing this, we're doing that. But
Tom's military drills.
you could tell they were a bit standoffish, you know, like in terms of expressing themselves and being themselves. Whereas now, you know, and I think it has shown, like Tom said, probably, you know, since the turn of the year, you know, the personality and the togetherness of the squad has really come through, because I think, you know, it's a credit to them. They've bought into what we want them to do.
Yeah.
And because now they can see it's working, you know, they trust us, and you know, not as just as coaches, but as people. You know, and they're coming through, and you can see it. You know, it's showing on the pitch, it's showing off the pitch. You know, so you know, it just makes it more exciting. You want to know how far they could go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think another standout one's been Talia as well. I've seen Talia grow, but a rough year with injuries and stuff like
Physically,
that. Physically, absolutely, yeah. She's the oldest player I've ever seen go through a growth spurt.
But this is the things you get, don't you? You never expect anything or try and predict anything, because you can't.
Yeah, it was a really strange time with Talia, because obviously we were working through some injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
And, well, hang on a minute, you're going through a growth spurt.
She's grown like a foot in the past 3 months.
Yeah, I took some time off, obviously, when I weren't well and things like that, and so I had a month's break from when I saw people, and I thought, who's that? Is that a new signing? Oh no, it's Tal, who seems to have grown into the jolly green giant all of a sudden overnight. She'll be selling sweet corn next, and she's somebody who we've seen grow physically and character-wise as well. That's
big time.
and just an example of things like that. And I suppose we can't move on to the next section without talking about Grace Holmes. What a sensation she's been this season.
Yeah, really good.
She is, her movement, her intensity, and the fact that she knows what back in net is as well. I mean, is she not the ultimate wing back? Yeah. Is that?
It's just strange. Do you know what? I've never seen someone shoot that the technique makes it look like it's going to go nowhere near the goal and just finds the bottom corner. Like, I've never seen that before. She's come a long way. She's I think the struggle with that was she had that much ability that it was sort of holding her back in the way she was using it.
Yeah.
So she had loads of ability, but wasn't quite using it to the way that she should be. And obviously having Eddie who's, if people don't know, Grace's dad as the assistant manager, and myself and Joe have worked with her for a long time, and obviously yourself as well, to sort of calm her down and go through the game strategically more than I can run fast, so I'm going to use it. It's helped. I think that's helped her a lot, and she's become sort of a player technically more than her physical attributes as well.
I mean, her physical attributes, it was kind of a bit of a joke at the start of the season, you know, when we were using GPS vests.
Yeah,
and you produced the results. It was like, it wasn't even worth looking at, but she knew who would hit the top marks every
top
single
speed
time.
was it was always her face on.
I know.
If you talk about footballers' physical attributes of a perfect footballer, she has those.
Just because people won't know what we're talking about here. So basically, what we do, we were using GPS vests to feed our S&C program, and every game I would put on athlete of the week, athlete of the game.
I loved it. It was great.
And I was sort of like, you would get the best attributes and you put them out, and people would say, "Oh, look at me," and it gives someone something to work towards. And I think it backfired on me a little bit because Grace was so high in all of the stats. That
Yeah.
she were almost impossible. I mean, people, to the credit, people did catch her.
Yeah,
People did work
people,
her hard. Do you know what I mean? But she was there and thereabouts.
Yeah.
And I think that's been great to see, and really shows the makeup of the team we've got and all the different characteristics. And yeah, so let's get to know the players a little bit more. I've come up with a little bit of a game, and so basically,
If I don't win this, somehow.
well, this is a bit. It's not a
buys
quiz.
Nando's.
Oh, right.
So basically, there was 2 resources that I needed for this. One was a piece of paper, and one was some dice. So last weekend, I went with the grandkids to Mablethorpe. Went into Uncle Sam's big market mart in the middle of Mablethorpe, which is one of these places that's huge, and they've got toys and gifts, and they're all about 50p each. And I bought the dice, which are currently sat in my car. So I haven't brought the dice in for the game. So I needed 2 things, and I brought one and forgot one. So, but 1 out of 2 ain't bad, as the song doesn't say. So basically, what I want you to do, I'm going to ask you to pick 2 numbers. Okay, the first number will correlate to a player, and the second number will correlate to a situation or a scenario. Okay, so for instance,
number between.
For instance, if you picked number 2, you would pick Emily Fowler, and if you picked scenario number 2, it would be what animal would they be and why.
Oh, I like this.
Okay, and what animal would they be and why? So, so Joe, let's do. If this goes well, we'll do 2. If we all have a laugh, we'll do 3.
Yeah.
And if it's really boring, we'll just do 1. Okay, so let's see where we go with it. So Joe, pick a number between 2 and 12.
9.
9. Ayanna Davidson.
Gonna be 9, isn't she?
Tom, pick a number between 2 and 12.
4.
4. Interesting. If Ayanna Davidson was Prime Minister, what would be the first law that she passed?
Oh, I've got one straight away. Is it for both?
It's for whoever wants to speak up.
Have you got one, or do you want me to go?
Try and think you go.
I'll go. Alright, before the ball can hit the back of the net, it must be passed to her first.
Right,
In
okay.
football, that'd be a football law, FA law. FA law. She has to have the ball to score, or else not allowed to score.
Right, okay.
I think the law that she'd say is assistant coach Eddie cannot shout out head the ball in a game. But since she's done that, since she started doing that, I think like the last 4 or 5 goals have actually been headers. But she must get sick of hearing head the ball.
She likes to run, doesn't she? Probably like a everyone must do a minimum of 5 kilometres running every day, because she just runs and runs and runs. She's very strict with her.
Ex-tennis player, you know.
There you go, man.
Ex-tennis player, yeah.
With London on the main stage, then maybe.
Really good tennis player she were in the youth, yeah.
Nice.
That's one thing that's a YP podcast exclusive.
Didn't know that.
So I'll add one to that, and it's actually a theme within the team, that I think if Annie Davidson were Prime Minister, she would make hat-tricks illegal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
She would make hat-tricks illegal. And the Home Office Minister that would be used to put that into play would be Tom.
Yes.
So, just for those people that don't know and are less observant of statistics and things like that, our team finds it almost impossible to score a hat-trick. And if they do score a hat-trick, it's very difficult to do. And an exception to that was actually Annie's 7-minute hat-trick, when she scored a hat-trick in the first 7 minutes of a game. But generally, we find it really hard to score hat-tricks.
And I don't help, which is a big thing. I don't help. Or maybe I do, but I get stopped by Eddie and John remind me. So the situation we've got for the people watching and the people listening is, I've got some sort of weird instinct that when people score 2 goals, and I forget that they've scored 2 goals, for some reason I just want to sub them off, and I don't realise they're on 2 goals, so I just think, in my head, an instinct just says they've got to come off and someone else has got to come on. And John always reminds me that you can't take off on a hat-trick,
Yeah, I do call you Tom Hat-Trick Snatch.
Yeah, there you go.
But actually, there is some logic behind your reasoning there, because you do get players who tend to score 2 goals and then miss about 63 chances to get the hat trick.
Yeah.
So actually, your changes are quite justifiable.
Maybe it's all,
Was it
thought out.
was it the last game before?
Just
was
before
it?
game.
Yeah, 3 players on 2 goals, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 3 players. Yeah,
Yeah.
Emily Fowler,
Yeah.
Didio, and Annie
Yeah.
Davison.
And then
And I couldn't even bring them all off, because I didn't have enough subs.
the
Try.
person who got the hat trick was
Who got it in that game? I don't
Grace
think
Holmes.
Oh yeah, Grace. Yeah, Grace.
Yeah, we put
Second
Grace
half,
up front.
just popped 3 in, yeah.
she got 2 in about 3 minutes, and
Yeah,
then she
yeah.
scored in the last minute to get the hat
Some
trick.
great finishes as well.
So actually, that went really well.
Yeah.
So we will do a second one. So Tom, pick a number between 2 and 12.
6.
6. Chloe Spike.
Okay.
Joe, pick a number between 2 and 12.
10.
10. Okay.
11.
Yeah, can you pick a number that's not 10? Because I made a dramatic
9.
mistake.
9.
9. Okay, so
Oh.
so Chloe Spike, a night in on the sofa or clubbing until 5 a.m.
Well, there's an obvious answer for this
It's
one.
a night in watching Arsenal with the dogs that they look after. It's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we want this podcast to go out and be sort of legal.
Yeah, well, it's not-
it should be a night.
Oh, no, so
episode.
I'm talking about character and
Yeah,
personality. Is she the type of person?
Definitely a home girl who's very, very family orientated.
Yeah.
You know, like they have dogs at home. You know, very family orientated. 2 family-run businesses. Big supporters of Arsenal. Yeah, that's 100%. But I reckon when they're all above the legal age and we had a team night out, I reckon she'd be quite a good laugh.
Yeah, I have this scenario where actually there's because you think Chloe, who is really sensible, love working with Chloe. She's such a nice character,
Yeah.
such a wonderful person. Comes from a fantastic family as well. I love the Spikes, which is
Nice.
opposite to what a medieval torture victim would say. But no, they're a wonderful family. Yeah, they're really family oriented.
Yeah.
But I think Chloe's got a little bit of a wild side to her. I imagine that if we maybe played an international game and we're out in Spain playing a match, they'd be like, who kept the players out until 5 o'clock this morning? I think it might be Chloe might be the top of that list because she's so quiet that I think she would. She's got a bit of mischief.
I think the thing with that is Chloe listens to Chris a lot, and Chris is a fantastic captain. But when it comes to night outs and stuff like that, I know Chloe would be by Chris's side at any moment in any of that because that's how loyal she is. She'd be there.
Yeah.
She'd be there because Chris. I bet Chris is really good at taking players out and persuading them to be out and having a laugh with the team. Do you know what I mean?
Chris is a good night out.
Oh,
if you're going to go on a team night out, then you want Chris to be there. Do you know what I mean? She knows
Party
how
planner.
to do it. Do you know what I mean? She's really, really good at it. Okay, so let's do one more. So this time, Joe, can you pick a number between 2 and 12?
2.
2, Emily Fowler.
Oh, this is good.
Scenario, Tom.
What have we had already? 9 and.
So we've had the Prime Minister one, which was number 4, and we've had number 9, 99 sofa or club until 5.
Let's go with number 5 then.
Number 5. So, Emily Fowler. If Emily Fowler was a country, what country would she be?
Be careful here. I've got one.
The land of opportunity.
The land of opportunity, America.
America, yeah, because you don't know what you're going to get. Change states, you don't know what you're going to get on a Monday, on a Thursday, or a Sunday with Emily. Texas, California.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
like that.
Completely different
A
places.
good old American girl.
See, I was going kind of similar to that, but I thought Canada.
Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, just a very outgoing, upfront
Yeah.
person. You know, loves socialising. You know, a bit of the city life of like Toronto, but then you go to Vancouver, you just get different sides of it. So yeah, I guess it's kind of like a similar thought process, but I do like the American one. I really do. Imagine Emily Fowler in Las Vegas.
Just back to that other night out question, isn't it? No, I do. What do you reckon, John?
I'm going to go Mexico.
Really?
Yeah. Because she's a little bit loco, as they say.
Oh,
As they
I
say
like
down in
it.
Mexico.
I like it.
She is loco.
John's on fire today with these. No,
Yeah,
I like
I've
that.
never actually been to Mexico, so
Yeah. See, I went to Mexico this year. Yeah. And much as I would like to say I experienced the culture, we pretty much just stayed in a complex, which could have been Barcelona or Mallorca or something like that.
Just warm.
Through the whole time. And the only Mexican culture we actually got were the people who were serving us. So we didn't go on any kind of excursions or anything. But it does have that reputation of being a little bit crazy, you know what I mean? A little bit adventurous and stuff like that. Yeah.
The unexpected with Emily in it.
Yeah, but also just qualified as a nurse as well, so she's serving as
Congratulations.
things like that. So yeah, fantastic. Love seeing our players
Doing well.
doing well. Fantastic. So okay, I think that was quite a nice little game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did make a little spelling mistake on here. So one of the scenarios would be, what would we do if Anna Davidson was Amelia Ford? But so I forgot to put a scenario in when I copied and pasted. So yeah, that would have been.
That would have been interesting. Height wouldn't change.
Yeah, fantastic. So for our next section, we're going to move on to a segment that I'm going to call a slice of Tom Berry pie, which is Tom's going to give a little bit of information, advice or guidance on a topic of his choosing. Now, we're not picking on your surname there, calling it a slice of Tom Berry pie. We were going to call it a slice of John Cottrell Bolsover pie, but unfortunately another YP podcast in Lithuania was using that, so I had to change it at the last minute. So I'm not picking on you with that one. So Tom, what is your slice of Tom Berry pie for this podcast?
So I thought, obviously we've done a section on the women's team and done all that, but I just sort of wanted to add to. I've had a lot of questions from students, parents and opposition teams when we've come across them, which sort of sparked this idea in my head of talking about what our buy-in is and how we created it. So sort of looking at what it is to start. So a buy-in is what we offer to the girls and to players that attracts them to YP, and same with probably the students as well. This can link into that. And I just sort of wanted to get, I've got my own views on it, but I wanted to get sort of what Joe's view was on it and yours, because obviously I've looked at, we train in a certain way, the sessions we put out, they show on the pitch, and we have the analysis which links both of them, which is I think is a big buy-in. I think the trendiness of the company and who we are and the team is another one, which is sort of my two main things. And then obviously the player care manager is a big one for me. But I just sort of wanted to get what your thoughts were on that and what our sort of buy-in is and your view on it.
So I think with buy-in, and this is where we go all psychological on you, okay? It's something that I see quite a lot, and I can see it can make a team or break a team, buy-in. And if we talk psychology, we have something that we would call heuristics and biases, okay, which is little shortcuts that we have in our brain that kind of makes us do certain things subconsciously. And I think one of the biases is what we call an in-group, out-group bias. And I think it's us. And I think sometimes within a team, you can have separation. You can have separation from each other, which is what people would call a cliquey team. You can have separation from management and players, where you see, oh, he's lost the changing room type thing. And I think buy-in, using the in-group, out-group bias kind of philosophy, is that what I see is that everything we do is everyone's together. I mean, Joe describes it as the YP family, and I think that shows that all the girls are together. We don't have the cliques. We don't have a separation of management. I love the player care because that's the type of person I am, and I think there's a respect that it works a little bit independently from the coaching team, but it also supports the coaching team. The girls can speak to me about certain things, they can speak to you about certain things. We've not talked about Eddie today, which is, Eddie, what a wonderful addition to the team he's been. And he has his very own style that people can go to. Joe is the chairman, and I've got a little game about you in a bit, Joe, so we'll do that after this to emphasise this. But Joe is a very approachable character, which you've already touched on. There are different routes, and it works. It works, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the player care one was a big one for me, especially getting all the players we have, and not just the talking ability wise, actually who they are and why it's so easy to be in the group. We had a conversation a while ago about looking at players, obviously, which is natural, might not come and speak to me about game time and not playing enough and how to get better. And just because it's hard, if some find it difficult to speak to me because I'm the one deciding if they're playing or if they're not. Whereas you made a great idea that that's why you're there to sort of give them advice on what they can do better. You'll, like you said, you'll never guarantee them a place in the team, but you can certainly help them to do that, which I think took a massive weight off my shoulders and the players' shoulders, and made me and the players a little bit closer because they knew they didn't have to worry about that because they'd speak to you, in which you might speak to me, or might not speak to me at all, but they had at least someone to talk to about it, which was a massive thing for me.
And I think my kind of philosophy on that was always, Tom selects you, and I will try and make it selectable.
Yeah,
that was always
the big thing.
Yeah. So Joe, what are your thoughts on the buy-in and what Tom's just said?
I think to sum it up as a whole, I think, you know, bit of motivation here. So I think us
we need a thing going on here. Like,
us as human beings and as people, we crave to be part of something that means something that can become part of our lives, you know. And I think, especially with the women's team, you know, I think the buy-in is be part of something that is special, be part of something that wants to move forward and actually achieve something.
Is that not the buy-in? But that's the same buy-in for the company as well.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, you know, be part of the brand. You know, we want. You know, like I was saying to Tom, we love it when we see, like, I've been out and about and I've seen kids wear our tracksuits and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, like you've got two big teams in Sheffield, you've got Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United. They could be wearing those tracksuits of those teams, but when you see them wearing a YP tracksuit, you know, that just speaks to volume. You know, we want them to be proud to be part of it. You know, we want them to feel like they're part of something that's, you know, something that they speak about to families and friends. You know, and I think the brand of what we've created, I think, you know, other companies out there probably struggle to really get to the level of what we do with social media and stuff like that. You know, we really do try to make it a fully transparent company.
Yeah.
Are you actually saying, Joe, that if you walk into any kind of pub in Sheffield and there's people playing pool or having a drink with their mates, they're either wearing a United top, a Wednesday top, or a YP tracksuit? Is that what you actually say?
I've seen that happen.
Yeah, you see it.
I guarantee you, right? It will happen in one pub this weekend because on Sunday, obviously, the YP women's are playing at 5 p.m. on Sunday, and it is the Sheffield Derby at 12:30.
But we know which one's the bigger game, though.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
That's really interesting because, so obviously that game's live on television and stuff like that. I might do a little bit of YP tracksuit spotting.
Just to let people know, not the YP women's game isn't live on TV.
Yeah.
About the Derby. If you were confused, because I know that you might think we're on TV because. You know.
Yeah, so Sheffield United men against Sheffield Wednesday men.
I'd always clarify.
Is live on a major television network this weekend. So yeah, let's do some YP tracksuit spotting. That sounds like it's an additional game. And on the next podcast, we can talk about our YP tracksuit spotting.
That's our job before the game.
There you go. Yeah, we'll do it.
So Tom, thank you for that. Buying, all about buying. Love that. Okay. Now, as promised, I want to get to know the chairman a little bit. So obviously Joe, the legend that he is, you'll see a lot of him on social media and things like that. But let's get to know the real Joe right now. So I've actually put together, this is for Tom, and this is a little quiz that I've put together.
This is what your homework's been.
Yeah. So, called The Right Thing to Do or The Joe Thing to Do.
Oh, okay? This is really good.
So I'm going to give you a scenario and you've got to tell me, is it the right thing to do or is it the Joe thing to do?
Okay.
So, scenario number 1, running onto a pitch after scoring a last minute winner, filming yourself despite the opposition and equalising.
Now that is a tough one. Actually, that does remind me of a certain situation.
Can I just I wasn't filming myself, I was filming the equaliser.
So maybe Joe's answer to that might say it's a Joe thing to do, just off that. And knowing him, that's a very, very Joe thing to do. He cannot contain his emotions. That's how much he genuinely loves the team. It's because the referee gave him a stern word.
You can actually see on the video, as soon as the referee goes, points, I just do a U-turn.
Realise it straight away.
So,
Joe thing to do.
So that is the Joe thing to do. Scenario number 2, shouting very loud upon a goal being scored. Is that the right thing to do or the Joe thing to do? Tough one.
I think it depends where he's stood. Can we have a where Joe stood as well?
Add some context, yeah. I'm happy
Yeah.
for you to add context.
If he's stood with us in the dugout, it's the Joe thing to do because the players get going as well, which is all right sometimes. But sometimes we need them watching certain things and listening to us. And when you can only hear Joe's voice, it's difficult for him. If he's with the parents and the spectators, and absolutely fine. Like that's the right thing to do because the girls on the pitch, they like it, they need it. It gives them courage to go and score another one, which is good. So it's sort of 50.
I will add in context that it's never negative, is it?
No,
It never like says, "Oh, what are you doing?" Not like that. So.
no, it's always nice shouts.
Surprised you didn't mention the when they shout out ref.
I was going to do that.
Echoes around the
I was
ground.
going to do that, but what
It's
I
the
did want to
loudest
do
ref
is to put that in audio evidence so the league could suspend you.
Yeah.
So I didn't really want to do that.
Well, it's
Yeah.
sorted.
So-
That's
so-
sorted out.
so-
Yeah, that's
so-
sorted
moving
out.
on.
So just for the record, Joe never shouts ref,
No.
and it's definitely not on video.
No.
So situation number 3, scenario number 3. Not needing a GPS locator attachment because you always know where he is. Is that the right thing to do or the Joe thing to do?
It's the Joe thing to do. That is the Joe thing to do.
I think somebody once said to me, "Who's that shouting behind there?"
Oh, you-
Stood on a chair.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, it's
right.
Joe. Some say that's definitely
Yeah,
Joe.
because you can always hear it. You can always hear it.
Scenario number 4. Sitting sensible and quiet like a good boy. Is that the right thing to do, or is that the Joe thing to do?
Well, after today, he's done really, really well today.
Yeah.
So that's the right thing to do. But
The
Joe's not done bad.
the only game I've done it was when we were losing 2-0 to Charnock. Do you remember?
But
when
you
I
can't.
sat-
But
I-
Joe, you can't sit still anyway.
I can't.
In any situation, in the cinema, I bet you're worst in cinema. I bet you're the worst. I bet your arms are like this. People behind you can't see you. You're talking. You're going to toilet every 2 minutes. Popcorn.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely the right thing to do. But Joe, you've got no chance.
Not the Joe thing to do. So my last scenario actually is because we've been quite harsh in there, I think. Being very, very welcoming to everyone who comes on board. It's probably a bit of a trick question. Is it the right thing to do or the Joe thing to do?
It's a both.
It's the
It's
both,
the both,
isn't it?
yeah.
It's what we should be doing, but actually I think Joe does it
Joe
better
does
than
it.
anybody else I know. I don't know one player. If I turn up to train on a Thursday and I can't have a chat with Joe, can't have a chat with him because he speaks to every player. He knows every player that's about their life. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, how was your holiday? How did that exam go at school? Do you know what I mean? How's your brother getting on? Love that. I think
it's very.
I don't see that anywhere else.
No, I think it's very easy for you and everyone. It's quite relatable to sort of judge people and listen to what other people have said about someone before you've actually met them. Whereas I think Joe puts that all aside and doesn't actually ask for any points on someone, and he will meet them and will get to know them and give them the chance that they deserve and not judge them from the off, which is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are honoured to have you as chairman of our club, mate.
Yeah.
So that's the quietest he's been.
He's the best
whole podcast.
chairman I've ever had. Just put that in as well.
Yeah, so he's the best chairman shortly before Tom's peer review.
There we
So yeah, there we go. So we're almost up to the end of the show right now, but we've actually got one more little feature which I hope the guys have done a little bit of research on, and this is player of the podcast, Academy player of the podcast. So basically. Obviously, there's a lot of players come to the podcast. There's no players at the podcast. There's a lot of players come to the academy, and they obviously there's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of people, and what I've asked the guys to do is actually recognise somebody to get player of the podcast. We're going to do 2. We're going to do one boy and one girl, and this can be for any reason. It can be because they've done something wonderful, or they've tried really hard, or they've had a tough time, or whatever, and they've still come to training, or they've made an achievement at the club, anything like that. So I'll start with you then, Joe. Have you got your player of the podcast this week, or this episode?
I'm going to add a little bit of a spin to it, sorry.
That's fine.
I'm going to pick siblings. So I'm going to pick a sibling to a family that are part of YP.
Fantastic.
So we've got Eddie Dudley and Oliver Dudley, who are 2 great players in our academy, 2 that have been with us for a long, long time. They've gone through some real difficulty in the last couple of years with family loss, unfortunately. You know, and they've really stayed in contact with us, you know, their parents, Donna and Steve, you know, to look after them. You know, and I think over the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months, you know, I don't coach Oliver, I coach Ellie, but some of the coaches, Fergie and Tom, have recognised that Oliver Dudley's really turned the corner, you know, in his maturity, his work ethic, you know, in training and stuff like that. You know, and you know, it brings a smile to us to know they've got, you know, they're getting through this difficult period. So massive credit to him. Ellie, doing really well. Again, also, you know, struggled as well, but she's excelling. She's at Derby, training at the ETC as well. So, you know, a credit to both of them, you know, not letting, you know, the family, you know, personal lives kind of, and using bubbles and escape and trusting us to help them with that. So, yeah, massive shout out to them too.
Round of applause. Love that. Fantastic. And you know what? Heartfelt. Does that not just say everything that I've just said about you? Love that. You've ruined my format, but actually you've done it for a perfect reason. So I love that. Tom, your player of the podcast.
So does it want a boy or a girl, or is it both, or is it just one?
I think my idea was to have a boy and a girl, but actually that were very heartfelt, and that was a group of people. So you've kind of been left open on that one to choose whatever you want.
So I could do one on one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like Joe, could break the rules again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for ruining my.
There you go. That's all right. That's what
3 weeks for the planning.
We're going to try every week. So
yeah, rules are there for breaking, unless you're a criminal.
Yeah, so we'll start with the girl first. So one of them, sort of someone I've been working with closely for the past 6 weeks now, I think 8 weeks, but she's been around in my session with Joe for a while, which is Lauren Hughes. She comes to all the YP women's games. I do one-to-ones with her, I do group sessions with her, and I think the main sort of point that I want to make with why she's doing so well is I've not seen someone move and play in a way that you could, I don't know how to explain body language that looks happy, and with her you can really see it, and her parents are fantastic with her, and they support her in everything she does, and she absolutely loves the game, and she loves being with YP. She loves Joe, she loves the coaches, she loves everyone there, and she loves the women's team. Annie's actually her favourite player. She wants to walk out with Annie this weekend. She's already told.
Love that.
She turns up and she's smiling, she's laughing. She actually laughs at me before I've even said anything, which is starting to concern me a bit now. But she's honestly fantastic. Like an attitude in a player, that's everything you can ask for. Which is really, really good. And yeah, but boys, sorry, yeah.
Oh yeah, you're going double,
yeah,
aren't you?
Go double, yeah. Gonna have to go with Ruben.
Yeah,
gonna have to.
I knew you were going to.
Do you know what? The big one with Ruben is I've known him for ages now. Ages, yeah. And I've had a lot of personal moments with Ruben about sort of obviously not mentioned that here, but facing some of his fears, and he's only 9 years old. He's a young lad, and facing a lot of fears on the pitch and things that you wouldn't expect from him unless he's been told, and it became really personal with him, and I think it drove me a little bit more to it, because he does one-to-ones and group sessions with me as well, to drive him and push him that bit more, and I think he feels it as well with me, and I'm really, really close to his parents as well, which is a massive thing. And like Joe said, it's the personal side off the pitch with both of them too. I feel like we've had a big impact on them, and they really trust us with a lot of things, which is really good. I'm really proud of both of them, really proud.
That deserves, wow, emotional. That whole section was emotional. I kind of had in my head, like, oh yeah, someone scored a fantastic goal at the weekend, or someone's team got to a cup final, and actually, did we not just display YP values as it is right there and then? So
I think the most pleasing feat, the most common pattern of all those ball players is their parents fully trust what we do.
Yeah.
They fully trust our our coaching team. They fully trust our methodology, our principles, and because they're so invested in it, it rubs off onto the kids. So it's almost like a double effect.
Yeah.
And that is why we probably see so much progress with those kind of players. So my tip probably for parents is, without sounding cliche or making any critical remarks, the more invested you are in, or the more you trust in us and our resources, the evidence is there that it works. You trust us, we will help your kid.
Yeah.
And we're really pleased with those four.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What an emotional kind of end to the podcast. Guys, it's been an hour. We've done an hour. I didn't know how long this podcast would go on. We could advertise it for a certain amount of time. And I haven't actually got through everything. So a list of things we didn't get through in the show today was alternative player nicknames. We didn't do that one. There was some...
That we can do that outside, that'd be a good little thing for him to do.
Yeah.
You know, a little social media
Cool.
thing now. There you go. We'll do that outside.
There we go. So
that'll go
we're
on
actually,
Instagram.
within the podcast, we're actually planning sound bites within the podcast as well.
Love it.
But gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure today. I've really enjoyed that. I think hopefully everybody at home has enjoyed that as well. Please spread the word of the podcast. So this is a test today for us. We've not done this before, and we wanted to talk about you guys. We wanted to talk about the young players coming through. We wanted to talk about the wonderful success of the women's team. Unbelievable kind of couple of months coming up. A lot of games to get in. Please come along and support us. Amongst the many games that we've got obviously a County Cup third round game, which is either coming up or happened, depending on when we get this podcast out. In which case, if we haven't got this podcast out before the game, Tom, I think it was a fair result. If we do get it out before the game, then Tom, good luck for the game on Sunday.
Thanks.
So we've also got Wath coming up, Chesterfield game coming up, Stocksbridge in the semi-final of the Cup. We've got 1 week where I think we've got 3 games in 7 days, which is going to be huge. I think 4 days in 8 games actually, I think it works out as. And that title running is going to be absolutely spectacular. So get yourself down to watch the games, get yourself down to support the girls. Make sure that all students keep working hard, keep doing what you're doing. It's been a wonderful podcast. I've
Really
enjoyed every
that.
single minute.
Thank you.
Ever so much to Joe Dixon. Thank you ever so much to Tom Berry. My name's John Cottrell Bolsover, and that has been the first ever YP podcast. Thank you.